Hey, what's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow. This is a place where we bring art, culture, politics, and business all together, and we do it every Sunday right here on this channel. When I'm not shooting this podcast, I am the owner of Strategic Resources and the founder of the African American Men's Action Network, where we specialize in political campaigns, government, and public relations work. We've been doing it all around this state for over the last 25 years. Met some interesting people along the way, and I want to make your next move a strategic move. So this program gives me an opportunity to bring on some of the guests. We get a chance to talk about some of our experiences, and maybe, just maybe, there's something in it that you might could get out of it to help you in your business or your personal life. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, what I need you to do is hit that like button. I need you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell as well, so that you will know the next time someone is coming on our program. So we're going to get right into it today because we got a special guest in the house today. But before we get started, I want to do a special shout out to the best podcast producer in the city of Cleveland. That's none other than DJ True. What's happening, sir?
What's going on? What's going on, man?
Oh, man, we're getting ready to get it in. We got one of the guys I've been waiting to talk to for a while because from afar, I find him interesting. Our program is all about bringing on people we find interesting. And then I think this guy might be interesting.
Yeah, me too.
He may be interesting.
I think I like this guy.
Yeah, we're going to see. We're going to see if he's interesting.
Hey, now, did you watch the All-Star game? Any of the All-Star events?
No, I didn't even, let me tell you, I'm far out of sports. I didn't even know it was a damn All-Star game. That's a shame. I didn't even know, man, they had a whole All-Star game and I'd have missed it. The slam dunk contest and all of that.
They had all the contests, the Rising Stars game.
I ain't watching anything. I ain't watching anything, man.
And the All-Star game. But
I had my head deep into a computer all weekend long. I was trying to get out an episode, and if you haven't watched this episode, we had none other than Reverend E.T. Cavanis on the program last week, and we went down a historic road of Cleveland's Black history, and it was a very good program. So if you hadn't got a chance to look at it, I want y'all to tune in and make sure you check that out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I spent all weekend editing that because I wanted to get it out so that people can get an opportunity to check it out. So as you see, I was working because I didn't even know the doggone All-Star game, and I had a TV on. It was on right in front of me, and I just never paid no attention.
Ask me what was the score of the game.
What was it?
It was 211 to like 186.
Are you kidding me?
The first time a team scored 200 points in a game.
The heck, that was all. Well, they was just everybody. They was just letting people shoot in that, right?
Yeah, the All-Star game is like a novelty. It's not like how it used to be back in like the 80s and 90s.
It's not competitive. But you know what? I kind of think I like the 200, 300 sport games. I mean, go on in there and score. You know, I mean, if you're not going to really play hard anyway, because everybody's not trying to get hurt, then make it entertaining. Because listen, what game have you ever sat at did you see 200 points at? So, hey, let's see if y'all can break that, you know?
Space Jam.
Yeah, right. That book, right. All right, man, we're going to get started, man, because I got my man in the place here today, and we want to talk with him, and he took the time to come visit us. He's been a busy guy. We've been trying to get him for a long time to come in and sit down and talk with us, but he's here today, so I want to jump right into it. So we're going to get started, DJ. You ready? All right, here we go. So today, we're honored to welcome a transformative leader in higher education, Dr. Michael A. Baston. He's the dynamic 5th president of Cuyahoga Community College. With a career that spans law, academia, and advocacy, Dr. Baston is at the forefront of revitalizing community college and education. His leadership embodies a relentless pursuit of excellence, equality, and innovation, making a significant strides in student success, workforce readiness, and community uplifting. As we delve into our conversation, we will uncover the passionate strategies and visions driven by Dr. Baston to redefine the landscape of education, creating lasting impacts in the lives of countless students and individuals. So I want everybody to sit back and just join us on this remarkable journey of leadership and how he's planning on shaping the future of all the students here at Tri-C, and that's called Community College right here in Cleveland, Ohio, and Cuyahoga County. So without further ado, I want everybody in the house to welcome Dr. Baston to our program. Doctor, thank you for coming in, sir.
Ken, I'm so happy to be with you today. This is a wonderful opportunity to make some strategic moves.
Oh, I appreciate it, brother. There you go. We could give him a horn for that one. Lateef, man, that was the first one somebody used that. Oh, he gave you a bomb. He dropped a bomb. We're going to say you dropped a bomb. There we go. Our program has been good, Doctor. It's been a program. I'm glad you were able to come on. As you know, I told people we've been doing politics and been involved in the town for a long time and met some really good people. You were one of the people that I sought after when I saw you came in, heard a couple of your speeches and watched everything that took place. And I think that guy got something to him that I want to sit down and talk with him about. So I really appreciate you coming on our program. We're fairly new podcast here and we're getting together. I got the advantage of being in this city a long time, so I know a lot of people, so I can get to a lot of people. But other than that, we're working it through, and we really appreciate you taking your time to come talk. So like we do on our program, we usually get started. We usually ask our people to give us a little bit of a background of where you came from, you know, where you grew up at and what got you here to Cleveland.
You know, I was born in Jamaica, Queens. So I'm actually from New York.
Okay.
And grew up in a place called Rochdale Village.
Okay.
It's in South Jamaica. And it's a community of folks struggling and moving and trying to make things happen to really lift the community as a community. So I was raised in this context of community uplift and struggle. And so that grounded me in all that I do. You know, when you come from a neighborhood that strives to bring families together and strives to lift the community and to collectively work together, you really get that sense that Maulana Karanga really talked about in the Nagusa Saba, this whole idea of collective works and responsibility and our ability to be on purpose. Like we don't do things just to do them. We do things in purposeful ways.
So you was brothers, sisters?
One brother, Lamar, has got a beautiful wife and children. They are still in New York. I'm married. My wife, Tasha, and I really navigate this world together for the last 20 years.
Wow. Wow. So it was just you and your brother growing up?
Yes, just me and him.
And how was you in school, man? You was a student in school, man? Was you the guy who knew you was going to go to college and knew you were going to do this thing? Or how was it growing up? And hold on, before you get there, not to tell you all your age, so by what time did you go? You was 90s? Were you there with all the hip hop jumping off?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, so absolutely. I grew up, you know, I was born in the 70s.
Okay.
Came of age in the 90s.
Right. You're around our age. Yeah. Okay.
So you know, I can't say that I was a great student.
Okay.
I could say I was always a leader. I was one of them little school crossing guards. I had my little badge. And you know, I always saw myself as someone helping others.
Okay.
You know, I became a better student later on in life when I was in high school, and a teacher told me that I was never going to really make it. That motivated me to become a reader, motivated me to become, you know, I told him I wanted to be a lawyer. He said, well, you're not going to be a lawyer because you don't read. And that motivated me.
And what grade was that?
I was in the 9th grade.
Wow.
When the teacher said, everybody's asking, what do you want to be? What do you I said, I'm going to be a lawyer. He said, well, you're not going to be a lawyer. You can't even read.
Wow.
What he didn't realize when he said it was he challenged me. He provoked me into a sense of purpose and destiny and greatness, because when someone tells you what you're not and everything inside of you tells you what you are, you can't do anything else but continue to press toward that which you were meant to be. And for me, my parents always told me who I was and who I was meant to be. We watched Like It Is when I was a little kid, Gil Noble in New York, talking about our culture and my heritage. So that was always instilled in me. So when I got that opposing word, it really actually set me up to continue to make progress.
Wow, man, that's good to hear. Did you play any sports in school or anything? Just straight?
I was a chess player.
You can't play. See, you trying to set me up.
I don't know how well I can play.
But you said you was playing back then. I was playing back then too, but I still ain't that good. But I think you can play, and you trying to set me up. Set up. We got a nice chessboard. He said he got one in his office, and I be looking at people tell me that as if I want to play. I'm not that great at it. So
now, when anybody tells you they're not that great at a thing,
see, that's the game. It goes back and forth with this chess thing. So you got out of high school. you decided to go to college.
Yep.
What did you, when you first got into college, what you thought you wanted to do?
Well, I knew since I was 8 that I would be a lawyer.
You still wanted to go into law?
Yes, and I didn't. When I finished college, I went to law school.
Okay.
And so I became a practicing attorney. I represented educational corporations, religious institutions, and nonprofit organizations.
Wow.
And while I was in law school, I worked at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and Brooklyn Legal Services. So I actually held the law books that actually Thurgood Marshall read at LDF. So I had the opportunity to work with Center for Constitutional Rights with Ron Daniels. So I had the opportunity in the early 90s and the mid 90s to really work on the kinds of things at that time were things that were still going on that were flashbacks from the 50s. In 1996, 97, we were dealing with the burned churches in the South. Black churches were being burned in 1996, not just 1956.
Whoa. Let's go back on that again.
Absolutely.
You said in 1996, you guys were still dealing with cases of people burning down Black churches in the South.
Absolutely. We were still doing desegregation cases in Florida in 1996, not 1946 and 56 and 66, in 96. It was within that context of that experience of really understanding what it is to help tenant associations get established and fight landlords who would allow rats to run around tenements as size of a dog. We recognized that my work had to be focused on making sure that people understood their rights, understood how to navigate the complexities of the system and to stand for themselves. And so, now the work that I do so neatly connects to that because I've always been about helping people grow, go, and empower themselves. Don't move, improve your neighborhood, own your neighborhood, own your and design your destiny.
So you give me a little bit of when you were back there, you told me about those cases. Anything really stick out in your mind when you was doing law, when you was on that really you meant like, man, this is something
Well, I think just the idea of the different justice, I won't say double justice, the different justice. We never advocated for special rights for people of color. We advocated for equal rights. We advocated for equal rights. We advocated for human rights. We advocated for basic decency, that you could not be this slumlord and expect people to pay you rent and you're not making basic repairs. That you would have an tenant association to stand up and actually fight for themselves and to build wealth within the community for themselves. I lived in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn Law School. So I lived in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn at a time when it wasn't gentrified and it wasn't called Boulan Heights. It was Bed-Stuy.
Right. Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy.
Okay. So that's what that, and I heard of that before.
Yes.
Okay.
So I came up, whether it was South Jamaica during the crack epidemic, whether it was in the law school period where I was in Brooklyn, where it was challenged to the economic structures of community that have now become gentrified. I've seen those transitions. I've seen people disinvested from opportunity. And so now through education, I'm able to ensure that people have the ability to design their destiny. And that's important to me.
So I know about those tenants associations because we have some pretty big ones here. CMHA had a tenant association that was there. A friend of mine, a lady for a long time, Lillian Davis, ran that organization. They named actually a building for her over there behind it. So I do understand the work of how organizing those, especially in what we would call governmental estates and buildings like that, these community development type programs. That's very important work.
Well, I really applaud the work that Jeff Patterson and CMHA is doing now. I've visited now a number of the complexes that are being transitioned. We actually are in partnership with them on Scholar House. So we actually have a house right across the street from our Metro campus where single parents can now live within what we call Scholar House. They can get their education and then get assistance when they finish their education. So they're not displaced, so that they have easy transitions and they can begin to build a life for themselves and their children.
So when did you take the transition to say, I'm getting into education? Because now you, from what I'm hearing, you were really into the legal aspect, and even on the legal aspect, it was more advocacy work on that end. When did the switch come that you started moving towards education, and how did you do that?
Well, I had academic clients, so I would actually represent educational institutions, and they would ask me to teach.
Really? Really?
So I started teaching paralegal studies courses. So I would teach intro to business, intro to paralegal studies. And I fell in love with teaching. I fell in love with thinking about how we could create this next generation of social engineers. Think of the work of Charles Hamilton Houston, and he worked with those law students at Howard University, and he trained the lawyers to be social engineers. This idea that you could use the law to seriously change societal challenges that you felt were inappropriate. Well, as I got into the classroom and started working with students, and then thought how wonderful it would be to prepare and be a part of that process of preparing a generation to go forth and to challenge the unchallenged narratives in our community. I loved it. I felt connected to it. And the more I got into it, I found myself practicing law less and getting an education more. And so one of the presidents of an institution I worked for ultimately asked me to come into administration, and I've been there ever since.
So you started out teaching. Then what's the next evolution from there? Is that in college? Is it you become president or vice president?
Well, I first was a teacher, then I became a dean of students.
There we go. Okay.
From a dean of students, I became a vice president. From a vice president, I moved into the presidency. So that was like a 20-year period of time. That took
took 20 years.
Yeah, that took about a 20-year period.
And what was your first school that you were
Berkeley College in New York City.
Berkeley College.
Berkeley College. It actually had campuses in New York and New Jersey. So I was the dean for the New York campuses. So I had campuses in White Plains, Midtown, and at the time, Lower Manhattan.
And what kind of school? It was a community college as well?
No, it was a private institution.
That was a private.
But
that's
really,
Berkeley?
No, not Berkeley Music.
Okay.
Or California.
This
is a private college.
Okay.
It was a private college in New York.
Okay.
But in that particular college, the focus was careers.
Okay.
And it was primarily people of color that went to the school, and they wanted to move into their career. And so that work translated to when I went into LaGuardia Community College, which is the first community college I worked for. And the work of actually saying, don't just come to college just to come to college. Come to college, find a purpose, get on a path, move yourself forward. And that became a different conversation I started to have all around the country with community colleges and the communities which they were located. How do we make sure that we don't just get people in school and keep them in school forever for no purpose? How do we make sure that they get to explore what it is they want to do? What is their purpose? What is their passion? What contribution are they going to make? It's on that basis that we get them in academic programs and we give them experiences that allow them to decide, is this what I want to do or not? Now, it's true that a person will change their career multiple times, but what shouldn't change is the skills they get.
Correct.
You should be able to continue to gather skills through every experience that you can bring into another experience.
So let's stay on that point.
Sure.
How many schools did you were dean of before you got to Tri-C and became the dean of Tri-C?
2. I was the dean at Berkeley, then I was the dean at LaGuardia before I became vice president. When I finished the vice presidency of LaGuardia, I became president of Rockland Community College in New York.
Okay.
I was president there for about 5 years and then came here to be president of the district.
So let's look at those 3, right? Give me something that you can say that you kind of took from all 3 of those to help prepare you for becoming the president of Tri-C now.
Being at Berkeley, I was required to do everything. I was a one-man show at that time. Well, that gave me the ability to know all of the different jobs there were in student affairs and enrollment management, all these different kinds of jobs. That was important because as I work with the people in my institution today, there's not many jobs that I didn't already have at the lowest level. So when folks try to ask me or tell me or show me, I come with a deep knowledge of the weeds and not just being, I'm not a Cadillac president or a helicopter president. Like I understand what it is to photocopy. Yeah, I know what it is to photocopy programs and steam graduation gowns and make sure that your student has their MMR shots and all that stuff. So that was what I got from Berkeley. When I got to LaGuardia, the deep appreciation of making sure that we're embedded in the community in a significant and substantial way, because the community depends on our ability to meet its talent development needs, but also for those people to be able to own their own power, their own destiny, and their own future. When I got to Rockland, it was a focus on helping the faculty and staff recognize that they themselves could lead change, that they could have a voice, that it didn't have to be top-down things to do, but that if we got you involved, you could actually help us design a different destiny for us. And so I take all of the lessons from those institutions and bring them to this community, where I have found people to be very, very interested in the future and interested in how things can get better. May not necessarily know all the ways in which you can do it, but are open to the possibility that change could come and could be helpful and could make things better.
Interesting. It's real good. What are some of the biggest challenges you're facing in the realm of higher education, and how do you plan to address some of them?
Well, I still do a lot of work with colleges and universities all over the country, helping them to really think deeply about what is their thing. Every institution is different. Every institutional type is different. Every institution's cards in their hand is different. Do you have different cards in your hand that you have to play? In our institutional context, as an example, we have to get more people connected to the opportunities that are available to them right here. What I have found is that while we have plenty of opportunities, that there are a lot of folks, the average people in the neighborhoods are not necessarily hardwired into opportunities. And ultimately, we have to deal with some of the structural problems here as well. The benefits cliff is a reality here. And by that, I specifically mean if you make additional dollars because you got a raise on your job, but you are currently being supported in part by Section 8, or you're currently being supported by, you're getting food stamps. And so that raise, even though you're entitled to it, you're a great worker, you take it, and all of a sudden now you're out of the sustaining things that you need, while at the same time, you don't want to stay in this situation, but you're not making enough to get out of the situation. So we've got to figure out, how do we make the system work for the people that it's supposed to work for? How do we actually get people who have ability, talent, skills, who are on the sideline because they're structurally put on the sideline?
Well, and I'm glad you see that, because that's huge, man. I mean, people who not from that don't understand that will never get in. Here's the scenario they face with. I went through all this craziness to get this Section 8 voucher. Now I got it. I really do want to do better, but I kind of don't trust myself as well. I don't trust myself that I got this raise on this job, but am I going to really keep this job? Because if I take it, I lose my Section 8 and I lose my job tomorrow. I'm SOL. And that's a reality that a lot. And so when we get to that, a lot of people is how much we trust ourselves. And like you say, given the inspiration, the hope, all of that it takes to say, no, you can do better and it'll be okay. Even if you did fail, you can do it over again. It'll be tough, but you can do it over again. Section 8 ain't going nowhere and none of that other stuff. But it's that little piece, like you say, they get it, and you make just enough money. But then you face with that dilemma. Am I really ready to do what I said I'm going to do? And that's a really hard part for poor people.
I talked to a woman who that happened to. I talked to a woman today.
Right.
Who that happened to, that she ultimately had a desire not to take public assistance, but she needed it to take care of herself and her son. And the moment that she made a little bit more, all of the support structures were gone. It took her years to get to the place where she could get a home and she could do the things that ultimately, and she's not in that place of using those services anymore. But now she's worried because she does not have any safety net. There's so how do you plan for a future where you're already starting behind
That's correct.
the starting gates because of the structures that are in place?
And in that is still, and like you say, the structure, and you're really not making it.
Right.
Because like you say, I quit and now I'm really making enough money where I can put a little bit away so that when it you still paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
I mean, that's all it matters. You just still paycheck to paycheck. So that right there, and I'm really glad to hear you say that, man, because I really think that that's important. I don't think a lot of people get that.
Well, that's the power of a community college is that we do think about the top 100% of people who want to come to us. We are not, our selectivity is different. Some other institutions say you have to have this GPA, or they say that you have to have this amount of money in the bank, or you have to have all these sort of things that weed you out. We say, I don't care where you come or how you come, just come and we'll help. We will put you in a place where you can actually build momentum for yourself to do better, to grow, to whatever your level of preparation. You can't read, we're going to help you learn how to read. You can't write, we're going to help you learn how to write. You don't know at this point how to do X or Y or Z. That's why we're here. This is the community's college. So when we put you in a place where you actually can grow and be better, we know that you'll be financially viable and you will contribute through that viability to the next group of people who are similarly situated, but for you wouldn't have had the chance. So that's what this is about. This is about the multiplier effect. This is about making sure that if we lift people, if we build people, if we support people, they then are in a position to do that for somebody else.
That's correct.
And that makes our community strong and vibrant, and makes us a better people. And the fact is, I look at Cleveland when I came here, I came here recognizing that there are a lot of supports here that average people do not know how to navigate.
Interesting.
Average people do not know how to actually take advantage of it. And when I hear from business leaders, well, we have all these jobs. Why don't these good people take all these jobs that we have? You have not designed the way you do business to those people that you want to encourage to come in here. And so you assume that because you're ready for them, that they're ready for you.
Interesting.
That's not how it works. And the fact is, what business and industry is starting to understand is that the structures and the incentives and the expectations of the American dream that people had in the past that they thought they could use doesn't work with this generation. And it will never work with this generation.
Yeah, right.
And so they too are starting to retrofit. You're starting to see hybrid working. You don't have to come into the office 9 to 5, Monday through Friday in a cubicle downtown. They're recognizing the need to an extent to have daycare on the job, for instance, or providing you with transportation. They're recognizing that if you're going to be economically viable as a business, you need a labor force that's going to keep you economically viable. Everything can't be offshore. Everything can't be sent somewhere else. So we as an institution are working with businesses, and we as an institution are working in the community to make the viable connection. That's the power of a Tri-C, of a community college, that you can be the critical connector with people who have very similar interests that are far apart, and you got the chance to bring them together.
Man, that's why I told you you're an interesting guy. Got this thing, we call it community as a service. It's what we call it. And I believe that the community should be selling its services to the people. And what I mean by that is the nonprofits, the organizations, the businesses in the community should be doing exactly what you're saying. Instead of coming from the top down, it should be from the bottom up. It should be that the community should be able, all the information, all the numbers, all the things that you need in order to get the funding and all the stuff that you need, the workforce and everything you need is in the community. And by the community not being organized in that regards, it allows exactly what you're saying for the job market to be in the way it is. If the community dictated that this is what we needed in order to get this, to build you a workforce, then the workforce would change. You see what I mean? If the community dictated to the nonprofit organizations and organizations that you spend millions and millions of dollars working in these communities, like you say, I got programs nobody won't do. If instead of that, if they listen to what the community actually really needed and created programs around that, then I think we'll get better results out of our community.
I look at my academic programs. I refuse to want to recruit students in academic programs. I don't want to recruit poor people into academic programs that keep them poor.
Right.
So we know right now, as an example, if you want to go into a program, early childhood, that you work in the child care centers and they're not paying, we should fight advocacy wise on getting higher pay for those workers with the children, most important. But until that happens, we want to train people to be owner operators of daycares, build them in their own houses so that they can be entrepreneurs and have their own, and not be working for somebody, not being able to feed your own family while you're taking care of somebody else's kids while they're at work. So it's about flipping the script. It's about really rethinking, how do we help people grow and go in America today? So I have no interest in putting poor people in academic programs that will keep them poor. I have no interest of having a higher graduation. People say, well, but they go to college, they don't have a high graduation. I don't need people to graduate and have degrees and can't do nothing with them. Right. We have plenty of people in 4-year degrees. You got folks with all kind of degrees that don't do nothing with it. You think about a lot of the young people that went off to a 4-year college, racked up debt, and came back home and back in the bedroom that they grew up with their brother and sister. sister, and now driving DoorDash and Uber
That's
Eats.
correct. That's
so
correct.
the fact is, it's not just about completing. It's about completing a credential of value that allows you to thrive. I'm so sick and tired of people talking about family surviving wages. And I'm looking for family thriving wages. I don't want to survive. I want to thrive. I want to live. I want to be able to do the things that make me happy. You know, you can't eat a steak every day, but every now and again, I do not want a hamburger. I don't want Spam. I want a steak. And I want to be in a position where I don't have to worry and struggle and sweat because I wanted to go to Red Lobster. You know, and that's
so let's stay on that point, Doctor. How are you going to, in your vision of all of that, how you feel you're going to institute that in Tri-C? Because you're right there in the middle of it. You're right there in the middle of one of the poorest neighborhoods on the Metro campus, and been there for years, and the community can use it and everyone else. So tell me, all of that sounds really good. How are you going to institute that into the community?
First and foremost, you bring people on your team that actually are from the community. So I came here from New York, but I didn't bring all of my folks from around the country. I said, hey, India Pierce Lee, you know community neighborhoods better than just about anybody. I need you to be in here helping us with the strategy on integrating this college within the fabric of the neighborhood network system. Shauna Marbury, you from the Greater Cleveland Partnership, you understand all the needs specifically of business and industry. You've been working with them for 17 years. Now, look at all my academic programs and make direct connections with business and industry and begin to negotiate the expectations that we have and our students have for the business community. Hey, Eric Gordon, you worked with the K-12 system and the families and the parents and the students for the last 10 years. How do we now make sure that those younger generations that are coming through the pipeline have a greater connection to the resources, and so that they're not actually missing and dropping out of college before they even get to college? So I've brought people from the community with real relationships and connections and results of being doers to actually help me as we develop the strategies to integrate within the community. But we didn't stop there. We're also working with other systems. One of the challenges here is that we see collaboration and partnership in terms of television or newspaper clippings. And what I'm saying is, no, we're working with Metro Health because all those people in Metro Health need a school.
That's correct.
We're working with CMHA so that the students can live in the CMHA housing, their kids can be taken care of, and they can go to school. We're working with RTA so that you get a bus pass so that you can get to school and back and forth. We're working with the library so that you have a place for your children, or that is the sort of public university, the people's university. So we're working with major systems in this city, CMSD as well, so that ultimately we're better integrated with the systems that the average everyday person has to navigate. Not they want to navigate, they have to navigate it. And it is there where we embed awareness of what we can offer. It's there where we give assistance to get access to what we have to offer. And I think that is the level of intentionality that is necessary to move our community forward. And I'm working directly with the United Way. We have our executive teams together to talk about how do we have the right language? We see what you're funding. How do we make sure that the people that we are servicing are connected to the infrastructure of opportunity? And how do we make sure that we're sharing the information so that we're more targeted and we're more impact oriented? Instead of just participation, how do we make sure that the help helps? And here, I see a lot of help here. I don't always know that the help helps. And I am committed to making sure that if we are going to help, that the help actually helps. And guess what? We're going to ask the people, are you getting help?
Accountability. I think one of the biggest things that it has been a lack of is accountability. And the ability to hold people accountable is going to be the biggest tell to that. Let me actually, as it relates to school, my kids all graduated and they came out of the Heights system. But I know going to Cleveland Heights, they had all kinds of programs and things there that you can graduate from high school with an associate degree, and there's plenty of kids that take advantage of that. And I imagine you guys are running that all across all the schools. Are you getting the type of results, or you don't think the students are really taking advantage of that as much as they should?
Those that can are taking advantage of it, but we have to remember that many people are in family situations, but some of the kids is helping to pay the rent in the house.
Wow.
And so, I think that the best thing we can do for children, in my opinion, is make sure that parents have a good paying paying job. Because when they don't, it doesn't matter what happens in the school day. When they go home, they go into the war zone that is home, and everything that they learn leaves them. All the support that they receive. That is the reason why so many young people don't even want to go home, because being at school is a safer environment, a place to think, a place to be, a place to have a place. You know, that's why the pandemic was even more treacherous for people who have fragile economic lives, because at least you could go to school and have a sense of place. But if you 4 or 5 in the house all competing for the limited resources in the house, and the anger and the frustration and the trauma connected to that, that's what is visited upon children. So, you know, we do a lot of resources that are developed and devoted for children. And I think that's very important. But for me, the best thing you can do for a child is make sure their parent has a good paying job. Because if they can pay the rent and they're not arguing about what you're going to eat, you will see them come up to get report cards when it comes time for parent-teacher night. You will see them be able to go on a vacation. Like they will from time to time be able to splurge. But when you don't have nothing, that is the greatest challenge to our children. Many of them live in household environments where, you know, we are one of the poorest big cities in America. Like that's not a badge of honor. That's a reality, but it's also something we can do something about if we are thoughtful and strategic about what we're going to do.
Here, we had a contract with College Now. And one of the things we did for College Now was to go out in the city of Cleveland, particularly is where they were targeted, to talk with adults to do exactly what that was about, going back to school and talking with them. And we were actually going to some of the parents' homes of some of the students and knocking on their doors, talking to them in regards to, hey, why don't you go back, get your GED? Why don't you go back and consider going to Tri-C, going to college, that kind of thing. So we did. And I agree with you that here's some good news about that. I had 2 parts of that contract. One part was to Cleveland Heights, which where I lived, and I figured I graduated all my kids there. It was PTA. My wife was in PTA. I was booster parent for football and softball up there for years. We totally involved. So the contract was this. Ken, we want you to go get us, I think it was like real simple. We need like 600 parents to sign their kids to go to College Now. To not say we're going to college, but in case you want to go, at least once you come to College Now, let's talk about it so you can fill the paperwork out and you can make your decision. Now, we know Cleveland Heights probably had about 1,200 kids or so that could possibly be seniors. And they told me I could start from the 9th grade to the 12th grade. I still got my kids at home. This is a cakewalk, right? Let's go ahead. You guys can put this together. Then they said, we want you to get us 1,000 adults in the city of Cleveland to sign up for this because we want adults to come in. So I said, I'm thinking that's going to be the challenge. 1 is the city of Cleveland. 2, we're knocking on doors in the city of Cleveland. And 3, we're asking adults to go back to school. Believe it or not, I failed on the Cleveland Heights and got all the numbers in Cleveland for the adults with no problem. Knocking on the doors, talking to them. Oh yeah, I'll be interested. I already went to college. You want to go back? Well, they'll say, I went to college, I dropped out and I wanted to always go back. Hey, you can go back and you can possibly go for free. All of that. Got the adults with no problem. But when in Cleveland Heights, man, it was a trip. It wasn't so much the students as it was the parents. And here's one a good example. I knocked on the door. I didn't knock. I had people work. One of them came back and they told me they knocked on the door and the student came to the door and they told them they was with College Now and went through our spiel. And the kid was thinking, he's like, well, we need your parents. The reason why we was going, they had all these students who said they wanted to do it, but they need their parents to sign for them to go. And so we're going back, knocking on doors, trying to find the parents to sign their paper so their kids can get some information. And one guy came down, he looked at the kid. The kid was like, yeah, I want to go. I filled the paper. He obviously filled it out. That's why I'm here. He was like, I need to talk to your mom and your dad. And he went and got his dad. His dad came down and was like, hey, was thinking about it. He wanted to go to college and we need you to fill out this paperwork and this and this. And he looked, you want to go to college? And the little boy looked at him and was like, no, I don't want to go. And he said, why? Then he don't want to go to college. And I was like, you see, that's parents. Then it was others who would just be like, oh, they ain't going no college. I was like, well, they gonna lay on your couch all year. I said, it's free information. Don't you want to just fill it out? So they'll fill it out that kind of way. But what's your reason why you think it was that way?
Well, I have found sometimes, it's not a sweeping indictment, but sometimes those who are in a more challenging situation are more open to receiving some, being open. Those who are a little bit better off sometimes, they just so focused on maintaining that they don't think beyond maintaining. I can't be bothered with that because I got to maintain. I got to hustle to keep the hustles. I don't want to be over there. So I got to do everything I can to keep where I am. Not realizing that in doing everything you can to keep where you are, you're still missing the opportunities because that's your focus. The focus is not going beyond where you are. The focus is, I got here. I got to stay here. I got to do it. And that's what it is. I would always say, and this is from a different perspective, but in the pastoral realm, you will always, pastors in many churches will always have more support in poor neighborhoods than middle-class neighborhoods in church, in a Black church, and generally speaking. Because in the poorer communities, that hope seeding into the promise of the future becomes a much more important thing. But in the middle class, I now make too much to give. When you didn't have nothing, you didn't mind giving. Now you got a little something, you worried, well, if I give, I won't have. It is unfortunate, but that is sort of sometimes that psychology of maintaining. Well, I got, so I got to maintain. I got. In the concept of maintaining, you put blinders on to the full nature of the possibility of transformation and uplift. But I do see that in some of our communities, we have a little bit more economic fragility. We invest a little bit more in the possibility of not staying here.
Let me see, how do you envision the future of community college in America, especially in the wake of the pandemic impact and on education and what we're just talking about? And in that, I know you mentioned that you wanted to talk about, maybe we can segue into that as well.
Well, from my perspective, I believe that community colleges will continue to have a level of strength and support like never before. There was a time when going to a community college in our country was a stigmatizing experience. One would think, well, you couldn't get into these other places, so you just went to the community college. Now, after seeing so many people gain so much loans, coming out with lots of debts with degrees that are not being used, and then the viable alternative of getting high school credits of college and getting your degrees half the price and getting a quality education and getting a leg up. The narrative about the community college as a smart investment strategy is much more prevalent all over the country.
Okay.
And so the sticker price of a faulty future, when you have the opportunity of affordability and quality, you will continue to find the community college grows in stature and influence. The fact is we can turn a certificate out like that. Whereas going through the anachronistic process of the 4-year structures that take forever to actually get a program approved. By the time you get all the changes and things that you need to go through the faculty committees, through the state committees, through the committees of the committees, by the time you get through all of that, we've already put 3 certificates. People already been through the program. We got them working. They come to school 3 days. Right. They go to the workplace 2 days or vice versa. And so people are now earning and learning. And because the community college is really muscular in that way, that we really are focused in that way. You want to build, let's get you in the construction program. You want to do refrigeration, let's get you in the, you want to do HVAC, you want whatever it is, because I can put you in a course for 6 weeks and get you your CDL driving a truck and you'll make $125,000 a year driving a truck. I can put you in another program. I can put you in a psychology program and nothing against psychology, but I can put you in that program and you'll have to get your master's degree before you even have a client. And you have to take on the debt to get that master's degree because that don't come free. And you have to actually get sort of how long it's going to take you to be able to make a living at the same time somebody who's driving that truck is making $125,000 a year for 6 months sitting in the courses. I don't want to make it seem that sort of simplistic, but the reality is...
But that's for people. It may not be for everybody, but that's a reality for a lot of people, especially the ones we were just talking about.
And it's getting people to value different kinds of work and different kinds of careers and understanding that everybody's not going to have a doctorate and everybody's not going to have all of the different bells and whistles of some of these education experiences. And some folks are going to come and get a great experience and have the kind of life that allows them to take care of themselves and their families. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing at all, man. I think that that's the cornerstone of what's going on. At some point or another in our country, we knew that manufacturing was a stepping stone. So people got out of high school, they went into manufacturing. Some people went into college. We're saying the same thing. thing. We're saying that the manufacturing jobs isn't there. So your step from there should be getting some type of certificate, getting some type of short range degree, whether you want to be a chef, whether you, like you say, HVAC, driving a truck. There's lots of jobs and opportunities that are available out there and all kinds of things. I used to tell my kids all the time we're in high school, I was like, man, there's so many jobs. I said, when we talk about jobs, when somebody asks you what you want to be, it's okay to say you don't know. It really is, because there's so many jobs in the world that, just like what you say, you may start off saying, I want to be a lawyer, but you find out when you get into college, you don't like being around people or anything else, and driving a truck for $120,000 a year, you by yourself, you and your dog, is just fine with you. And it may work out for you better off. And you may own a fleet of trucks to do the same thing one day. So I think that opportunity is always available. Let me ask you this while you was on these opportunities. Got people listening and watching us. What's a hot commodity? If you were top three, if you say, man, if you go back to school today and come to Tri-C, here goes 3 things you ought to get into, because you can walk out the door and this is what can happen to you.
Think about just basic, any allied health program. We are in the sort of epicenter of some of the greatest hospitals in the country. They are thousands of employees down in the hospital. And so we're talking about Metro Health. We're talking about Cleveland Clinic. We're talking about university hospitals. So right now, it is an employee market. Coming in and getting some sort of a credential in any of those spaces, you're going to do quite well. Manufacturing is another major opportunity. Yeah. And we're not even talking about the manufacturing of granddad or dad's day. We're talking about smart manufacturing.
Clean,
we're talking about in the clean room. You're not sort of in the grease and breathing in just none of that. You're helping computers get stuff done.
That's correct.
So you become much more tech savvy in that environment today than it was ever before. So you think about that opportunity, all kinds of opportunities in media. You know, this is a social media oriented world that we're in, you know, and so how do you decide to leverage communication at a whole different level and the multi-medium that's available? So there are lots of things, but I would say in this community, manufacturing, in this community, healthcare, in this community, various types of business and entrepreneurship, huge. Right now, entrepreneurship is a huge opportunity because you see people turning the side hustle into a main hustle as they build it over time. And so the opportunities to really build your own, to be your own, unlike any other time in our country.
What kind of programs y'all offer for our entrepreneurs down there?
We have a whole brand new center in the corporate college, a center for entrepreneurs. So it's anchored by our 10,000 small business program we have with Goldman Sachs. But you can start by taking one course in our Huntington and Residence program where you could just get your feet wet about entrepreneurship. And then you could take our discovery courses that actually help you think about what kind of entrepreneur you want to be. You can take the next set of courses where you actually build your business plan, where you build the resources, and that we help you connect with the appropriate finances and connect with business plans and connect with the legal services. So the kinds of support today for entrepreneurship is amazing. And we just need to make sure that people know about it, take advantage of it so that their business can grow, blossom, and develop.
A friend of mine was here earlier and he saw you was coming on the program and he went on his little rant. And so I told him, I said, I'm going to ask him the question for you. His little rant was, he believed that community college should be free. He believes that, you know, the tax dollars, and I told him, I said, listen, the little tax bill we do for them isn't paying for that education, man. That's something totally different. But we got through that. But his thing was, in a nutshell, that he just believed that, and all education should be free. But he mainly believed he believed that you should be able to come out of high school and go straight into a community college and get. And I told him going to community college is almost free. I mean, you know,
But if you're living in Cleveland, you can go through the Say Yes program and it is free. So, but that goes to the point that not everybody is aware of all of the resources and all of the investments that have been made here in Cleveland. If you are coming from Cleveland Municipal School District, you can go through the Say Yes program and you can come to community college for free.
Wow.
And separate and aside from that, because I have operations all over the county, 65% of my students already come to school where they're not contributing because they have economic challenges. So 65% are already getting support to come to school. But I have to say that it is the levies that do help us to keep our tuition the lowest tuition in the state of Ohio.
Okay.
If it wasn't for the taxpayers' support, if it wasn't for their generosity, if it wasn't for, you know, what they contribute, we would not be able to keep the tuition as affordable as it is. And then we certainly couldn't keep all the programs we do for the community. There's so many programs we do for this community. We would never be able to make sure every child that wants to be dancing can dance, and every, that the seniors can have the programs that we have. We have a program called 55 plus, program called 60 plus. Those seniors get to come and they get their classes that are tailored just for them. Yeah. They can go swim in the swimming pool or do the things that we would never be able to have Jazz Fest downtown. We would never be able to have our Martin Luther King celebration programs or the Christian McBride program that we just had, or different programs. The things that we do for the Women in Transition program. Here's a program that says, hey, listen, you may have gone through different challenges in your life. Whatever those challenges are, we're going to help you. And we're going to make sure that you get enrichment classes and jobs and skills and housing if that's what is necessary. And we're going to connect you to infrastructure. We couldn't do a Women in Transition program without the support of the community. We do it because we support the community.
That's excellent. So you came in and you said there was a program you wanted to make sure you talked about. What is that program?
It's really not a program as much as it is an approach.
Okay.
I have made the argument here that Cleveland should be the career capital of the state of Ohio. We spend a lot of time talking about bringing other people from other places to Ohio and to Cleveland. I think we should bring people from Ohio to Cleveland. I believe that Cleveland should be for Ohio what Boston is for Massachusetts, what Chicago is for Illinois, what Charlotte is for North Carolina, what Atlanta is for Georgia, what New York City is for New York State. We should be the place where people want to start their career. They want to get in these major corporations. They want to build their brand. They want to get a great education at an affordable price so that even if they go back to the different parts of the state where they're from, they got their start here. They built their hopes and dreams here. They took the Rockefeller journey here. If we do that, we will be a stronger city, a stronger state, and a stronger region. And so I'm advocating to business leaders, to elected officials, to our partners in government, to all those folks that work in nonprofit organizations, everyone, we've got to really think about how do we create the opportunity where this is the place everybody wants to be. We are already the cultural capital with all of the plays, with all of the sports teams. Well, so from a culture perspective, there's no doubt, even though Columbus is the state capital, there's no doubt we're the cultural capital. But I believe that we have the gravitas to be the career capital of this state.
I was sitting here listening to you talk, and then it dawned on me. I was like, I know what's up with him. You I ain't gonna say you in the wrong job, because you're not in the wrong job, because you're doing what you need to do, and that's good. And helping the children and helping people, that's good. Another thing y'all didn't know about, he's a minister. And so all of his talking, and it got me all hyped over here because he is a pastor and he put that on. So let's talk about that a little bit. Then I'm going to get into my thing. But I know what you should do, and I'm going to tell you before you leave. We ain't got you in the right position. We need to be, you need to be moving into another position, because what you're talking about, man, is the hopes and dreams that what you need to take place right there is beyond community college. You see, because in order to do that, it's beyond community college. You can't get that done by yourself at community college. You will have to do that on a platform where you can get a lot of other people to come along with you to do that. That's why I said, maybe you're in the wrong position, because, and if you was in that other position, you probably get a lot of people to follow you.
I don't know about all that, but what I do know is that as the president of the college, I am in that critical convening role.
That's it.
And that there is such a great joy, because I don't have to worry about being political. I'm not running for nothing.
Right.
I'm actually able to do what I believe is right because it's right.
And because it's right. And that's good. We just at a point in our time where we just need to have that desire for more than, and for more for our city and for our county. That's why I didn't name a position, because I couldn't say, oh yeah, you should be the mayor or you should be the, no, it's more like, you know what, man, you in a good position, but it'd be lovely to have you in more of a great leadership position outside that. But you know what? Who's to say that you can't do it from there? Because everything is possible, right?
That's the truth.
So tell us about you being a pastor. That's the thing. It came in there. Everybody didn't know he's a minister. And you started telling me, I said, I'm going to stop you there, and I want to hear it on the podcast. So tell me about you being a minister, and how long you been pastoring?
Well, now this is 18 years of pastoring.
Wow.
Yes. My church was in New York York, St. Luke Cathedral, where my wife is now the lead there. We have been, she's my co-pastor, and really now that I've taken this responsibility here, she's really stepped up to take over the day-to-day operation. But so we go back and forth. So about twice a month, I'm in preaching in Sunday morning in New York, and then twice a month I'm here, not preaching in any particular church. Yeah, I preach in various churches here, but I don't, I'm not pastoring here. But
so you're going around preaching here?
Oh, yes, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. But
okay.
Yes.
That's why, you got a lot of, when you say gravitas, you got all of it, man. I'm sitting there like, dude, I usually don't comment with people. I'm like, he got me commenting tomorrow. He's going to be like, man, we heard you all on the thing. I can't mute myself out because you was hitting some strong points there. So I'm going to get you around this, and we going to get ready. We're rounding third coming home. So I'm going to get you a few of I call these my Larry King questions because I was.
You do that, Ken, I got a question.
Oh, wait. Lateef got a question. What's going on?
I have a person, you a pastor and you also president of a school. So what kind of program would you propose for a young, gifted college student that's getting scholarships and on their way to college, but their home life is so terrible, they don't have that in between to keep them on the right track at home to even get to those scholarships before they can get there for that fall semester? What do you propose can help that kind of a student that kind of needs that bridge because their family life is kind of a mess, or they just have a lot of things going on, to get them out of that environment so they can even make it to those scholarship opportunities?
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. This idea that if families don't have the support, the children, you can have the best experience in school all day, but if you get home and it's a war zone, everything that you got is taken away from you. And that's why we have a lot of young people that are doing after school programs. We have a lot of young people that are trying to work and trying to look for alternative, opportunities so that they don't have to be in the home. And so I think, part of it is thinking about what are the opportunities, even if they were to do school somewhere else, and that there are, for particularly gifted kids, there are places where you can actually live and go to school and, to kind of get your footing under you in that kind of situation, and very similarly, the young ladies that used to go to the Milton Hershey School, that they came from tough neighborhoods, but they were able to get into these schools that recognized that they actually had the ability, the talent, and needed the support. And you could go into a program like that and get all the support and, that sort of thing. And you're not taking away from them their roots, their heritage, their love. You probably find that it's difficult for those young people to leave an even toxic situation at home because some of them feel so much guilt about getting out and moving on and so on and so forth. So, with the guidance counselors kind of working with that person to look at the option, that would be my most specific advice. How do we take your situation, make sure that you are getting your own health and mental health in check because of the trauma that's ongoing, and then keep them from feeling guilty about needing to make a decision to move in a different direction. I never would have left home, but I knew if I didn't leave, I would have never been everything I've become. If I'd have stayed home in my environment, I would never have been a college president today. I had to leave. And I never went back home. I went home for 30 days after I finished college. But for those young people in that situation, you have to not feel guilty about getting out, because you'll never be what you're meant to be in some environments if you stay there.
Now, do you think there is some kind of housing assistance, like a student has 3 months before they go to college, and all they need is maybe 3 months, 4 months, month to month? Is there any programs that can place them in a housing program or a boarding house or a dorm or a safe space where they can go to work, do all what they have to do before they get to college?
The guidance counselor should be able to identify the resources to make the hardwire connections, to get them a social worker who could do that kind of placement. But if they can connect to a credible guidance counselor who can make the hardwire connections, that can happen for them.
All right, so let's round third here and head on home. I got a couple of my questions I like to finish the show with. So here goes the first one. If you could trade places with anybody for a day, who you think it will be? Do whatever you want to do. Don't have to be nothing big. It could be doing nothing but sitting on the beach if that's what you wanted to do. Or you can go search for enlightenment and say, I want to talk to Jesus.
For a day. I only get
You only got 24 hours, man. I'm gonna put you in and you coming right back out.
Yes, I'm going to go to my favorite place.
Okay.
My favorite place is Aruba. So I'm going to be in Aruba and and I'm actually gonna sit there on the beach and in the ocean, get my enlightenment there. That's you
will want to be yourself in Aruba.
There you go. Yeah, I don't want to be nobody else. I want to be
myself in Aruba.
In Aruba. That's
a good answer. That's a great answer.
That's me.
What do you say is your guilty pleasure, Pastor?
Mint chocolate chip.
I like that. You gonna say ice cream?
Yeah, mint chocolate chip Haagen-Dazs.
Ah, there it is. I'm the only one in the house like it too, so I get to eat every time I buy it. It never goes nowhere.
Yeah, me and my wife have to tussle on that a little bit, but she wins. So
that's excellent. Tell me something you wish you were better at.
Mini golf. I love. Everybody says, "Do you play golf?" Yeah, mini golf. I love mini golf. I like to talk smack on the mini golf course.
You know what? You're the right type of guy. I told you we was gonna like you because I'm the same way. I don't want to go do 18 holes out there. But you know what? Meet me at the mini golf. We're gonna do the same thing, right? We're gonna talk 2 hours. We're gonna hit a ball around. I ain't gotta go as far. We can do what we was gonna do anyway. I'm kind of with you on that. What's the best compliment you ever got?
When a student told me, as I was thinking about whether I should even leave my law firm and work for a college, "We need you." And when Kwame Rennie said that, and this is a young man who said that to me, for me, that was a compliment, because with all the people that could be there, all the things that anybody could come and help and serve and support or whatever, but it made it very personal and special to me that these young people needed me to come and be and help and participate. And that was one of my highest compliments.
What's the worst compliment? What's the worst advice you ever got?
I was told that I would never be more than a trio program officer. So I said, I'm thinking I want to be a vice president. Oh, you'll never be a vice president. You'll never do that. You'll never be able to do that. But, you should, try to help, maybe be a trio support officer. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good little job. Do that. But you'll never be a vice president.
Man, maybe more people should have told me what I wasn't going to be in my life. Because I'm sitting here listening like, here we go again. I thought you was going back to the one, but that wasn't no advice. It was just a bad person saying some bad stuff. Mm-hmm. But man, that's good. And you were able to transform that too.
When anybody tells you who you're not, show yourself who you are. Not them. Show yourself who you are. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy. I know that I am uniquely myself, and I have made a commitment to myself to be comfortable in who I am and what I believe. And so when you challenge me about who I am or what I could be, you now call me into question myself, whether they're right or am I right. And I am really committed to assuring that I understand who I am, why I'm here, what I'm doing, and I'm going to make sure that I transcend limitations.
Excellent. The last question for you on my end is, at the end of the day and at the end, what never ceased to make you smile, man? Like when the tough days is all over with, you've been around a long time, what you reach back in your mind and think about that makes you laugh?
You know what makes me laugh? My friends, when I introduce my fiance to them, and they say, "How you get a girl like that?" And in comparison to what those brothers did and what I did, it makes me laugh.
That's they see it. We'd be like, "What he say?"
Yeah. That's the truth. The whole truth. How you got her?
That's excellent. That's excellent. Man, I told you it's going to be a joy to be on our program, man. We really enjoyed our time talking with you, man. You're very great. I want everybody to know that Dr. Baston, again, is over at Tri-C, Cuyahoga Community College for you folks living outside of Ohio. And he's doing some good work there. And we're going to be committed. We're going to make a commitment today right here on this program that we're going to support this brother. We're going to help him do whatever he needs to do. Doctor, you or any of your other people at your college will ever want to come on and continue to talk about some of the works you guys over there are doing or need our help in helping you get that message out in the community. That's what we do. And we love to be able to be a vehicle to do that. We hoping to use this podcast as one of those tools that'll allow you to do that. So please, let's make sure we take you up on that, and we're going to stay in touch with you and keep you abreast of what the many things you heard what this man say. He got a lot he want to do over there, and we're going to see what he's doing, and we're going to help him as much as we can. But before we leave, like we say with all our program, man, we're going to let you look right here at this cameraman, take your time. You can say whatever you like to say. If there's something that's on your heart or something you want people to know, if there's a special event or anything, take your time. That camera belongs to you.
Ken, thank you so much for being with you today. And
No
so
problem.
I'm going to talk to the folks out there. If you're trying to find a way forward, if you're looking for people that will believe in you as much as you believe in yourself, Cuyahoga Community College is here for you. We want you to aspire, to dream, to believe, and we want to give you all the tools necessary to make the most of your life. You are the scholar of your experience. We want you to help write the next chapter of your extraordinary journey. Tri-C is here for you.
Excellent. And like I say, in the description, we will have all the contact information and all the links to how you can sign up and become a member of Tri-C and get those certificates and education that you're looking for. It's never too late. So we want you to go ahead and make sure you check in. And we'll see you next week. Peace.
This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.